Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Radha Madhava Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivara Hari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivara Hari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivara Hari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Yashodanandana Brajadana Ranjana Yashodanandana Yashodanandana Brajadana Ranjana Yashodanandana Brajadana Jamuna Tira Vanam Sari Jamuna Tira Vanam Sari Jamuna Tira Vanam Sari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Radha Madhava Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivara Hari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Jai Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivara Hari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivara Hari Yashodanandana Brajadana Ranjana Yashodanandana Brajadana Ranjana Yashodanandana Brajadana Ranjana Yashodanandana Brajadana Ranjana Jamuna Tira Vanam Sari Jamuna Tira Vanam Sari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Radha Madhava Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Jaya Radha Madhav Radha Madhav Radhe, Radha Madhav Radha Madhav Radhe, Jaya Radha Madhav Radha Madhav Radhe, Jaya Radha Madhav Radha Madhav Radhe, Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Gaur Pimanandi. Dayam Vishupad Paramahamsa Parivraj Gachajasto Tarasetta Sri Srimad His Divine Grace Chilabai Charanarvind Bhakti Vedanta Swami Sri Prabhupada Ki Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda Ki Skandi Viti Founder Charyas Divine Grace Sri Prabhupada Ki Namacharya Sri Haridas Thakur Ki Samaveta Bhakti Vrinda Ki Harinama Sankirtan Ki Grantara Srimad Bhagavatam Ki Dainitai Gaur Pimanandi. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to Sri Guru and to Sri Gauranga. All glories to Sri Prabhupada Ki. Om Agyanatimirandasya Gyananjana Sarakaya Taksuranmiritam Jena Tasmai Sri Gurave Namaha Sri Chaitanya Marobistam Stapitam Jena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Sri Guru Sri Juta Padakamalam Sri Gurun Vaisnavam Sri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunatan Vitam Tvam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Sri Radha Krishna Padam Sahagana Lalita Sri Visakan Vitam Hey Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kancana Gourangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sutidevi Pranamami Hari Priye Vansakalpa Tarubhyasya Kripa Sindhu Vyaivacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Sarasatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudiraye. Before reciting the Srimad Bhagavatam, which is our very means of conquest, let us first offer respectful obeisances unto Narayana, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, unto Nara, Narayan Rishi, the supermost human being, unto Mother Saraswati, the goddess of learning, and unto Srila Vyasadeva, the author. Nasta Prayesha Badreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavatutamashloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naistiki. By regularly hearing the Srimad Bhagavatam and by rendering a service unto the pure devotee, all that is troublesome within the heart becomes destroyed practically to nil, and loving devotional service unto the Supreme Lord, who is praised with transcendental songs, becomes established as an irrevocable fact. Idam Bhagavatam Nama Puranam Brahma Samhitam Uttama Shloka Charitam Chakara Bhagavan Rishi Nishreyasaya Lokasya Dhanyam Swasthaya Namaha. This Srimad Bhagavatam, known as the Grantaraj, the king of all Vedic literatures, is the literary incarnation of God. It is compiled by the incarnation of God, the Srila Vyasadeva. It is meant for the ultimate good of all people. It is all successful, all blissful, and all perfect. Sri Krishna Chaitanya, Prabhu Nityananda, Sri Advaita Gadadhar, Sri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya,
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya,
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya,
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Sarabhyai Namaha,
Om Sarabhyai Namaha.
Om Sarabhyai Namaha,
Om Sarabhyai Namaha.
Om Sarabhyai Namaha,
Om Sarabhyai Namaha.
Mukam karoti vacharam pangum langayate girim Yat kripa tamaham bande Sri Gurum Dinataranam, Yat kripa tamaham bande Sri Gurum Dinataranam. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Welcome everyone to our morning Bhagavatam class. We are continuing Canto number 1, chapter 11. We just started 2 days back. And today we're looking at text number
3.
1, 2, 3. Yes. So that is Canto 1, chapter 11, entitled Lord Krishna's Entrance into Dwarka. Tam upasritya ninadam jagat bhaya bhayavaham pratyudayuhu prajaha sarva bharatri darshana lalasaha tam upasritya ninadam jagat bhayavaham pratyudayu praja sarva bharatri darshana lalasaha tam upasritya ninadam jagat bhayavaham pratyudayu praja sarva bharatri darshana lalasaha tam upasritya ninadam jagat bhayavaham pratyudayu praja sarva bharatri darshana lalasaha tam upasritya ninadam jagat bhayavaham pratyudayu praja sarva bharatri darshana lalasaha tam upasritya ninadam Jagat Bhaya Bhayavaham Pratyujayu Prajat Sarva Pratvi Darshana Lalasaha
Tamupasrutya ninadam
Tamupasritya Ninadam
Jagat Bhaya Bhayavaham
Jagat Bhaya Bhayavaham
Pratyudhayu Praja Sarva
Pratyujayu Prajat Sarva
Bharti Darshana Lalasa
Bhatri Darshana Lalasaha
Tamupasrutya ninadam
Tamupasritya Ninadam
Jagat Bhaya Bhayavaham Jagat Bhaya Bhayavaham Pratyudayu Praja Sarva
Pratyujayu Prajat Sarva
Bharti Darshana Lalasa
Bhatri Darshana Lalasaha
Tamupasruta Ninadam
Tamupasritya Ninadam
Jagat Bhaya Bhayavaham
Jagat Bhaya Bhayavaham
Pratyudayu Praja Sarva
Pratyujayu Prajat Sarva
Bhartu Darshana Lalasa
Bhatri Darshana Lalasaha
Tamupasrutya Ninadam
Tamupasritya Ninadam
Jagat Bhaya Bhayavaham
Jagat Bhaya Bhayavaham
Pratyudayo Praja Sarva
Pratyujayu Prajat Sarva
Bharti Darshana Lalasa
Bhatri Darshana Lalasaha Tam
Tamupasrutya Ninadam
Jagat Bhaya Bhayavaham
Jagat Bhaya Bhayavaham
Pratyudhayu Praja Sarva
Pratyujayu Prajat Sarva
Bhattrudarsana Lalasaha
Bhatri Darshana Lalasaha Tam That Upasritya
Upasrutya
having overheard
having overheard
Ninadam sound Jagat Bhaya
Jagat Bhaya
the fear of material existence
the fear of material existence
Bhaya Avaham
Bhayavaham
the threatening principle
the threatening principle
Prati
Prati
towards
towards
Ujjayuhu
Ujjayu
rapidly proceeded
rapidly proceeded
Prajaha
Praja
the citizens
the citizens
Sarvaha
Sarvaha
all Bhartri
Bharati
the protector
the protector
Darshana
Darshana
audience
audience
Lalasaha
Lalasaha
having so desired.
having so desired.
Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Sridham Prabhupada Ki.
Jai Shri Prabhupada Ki Jai.
The citizens of Dwarka, having heard that sound which threatens fear personified in the material world, began to run toward him fast, just to have a long desired audience with the Lord, who is the protector of all devotees. Kindly repeat after me. The citizens of Dwarka,
The citizens of Dwarka,
having heard that sound,
having heard that sound,
which threatens fear personified
which threatens fear personified
in the material world,
in the material world,
began to run
began to run
towards him fast,
towards him fast,
just to have
just to have
a long desired audience
a long desired audience
with the Lord,
with the Lord,
who is the protector
who is the protector
of all devotees.
of all devotees.
Purport. As already explained, the citizens of Dwarka who lived at the time of Lord Krishna's presence there were all liberated souls who descended there along with the Lord as entourage. All were anxious to have an audience with the Lord, although because of spiritual contact, they were never separated from the Lord. Just as the gopis at Vrindavan used to think of Krishna while he was away from the village for cowherding engagements, the citizens of Dwarka were all immersed in thought of the Lord while he was away from Dwarka to attend the battle of Kurukshetra. Some distinguished fiction writer in Bengal concluded that the Krishna of Vrindavan, that of Mathura, and that of Dwarka were different personalities. Historically, there is no truth in this conclusion. The Krishna of Kurukshetra and the Krishna of Dwarka are one and the same personality. The citizens of Dwarka were thus in a state of melancholy due to the Lord's absence from the transcendental city. As much as we are put in a state of melancholy means sadness, at night because of the absence of the sun. The sound heralded by Lord Krishna was something like the heralding of the sunrise in the morning. So all the citizens of Dwarka awoke from the state of slumber because of the sunrise of Krishna, and they all hasten towards him, just to have an audience. The devotees of the Lord know no one else as protector. This sound of the Lord is identical with the Lord, as we have tried to explain by the non-dual position of the Lord. The material existence of our present status is full of fear. Out of the four problems of material existence, namely the food problem, the shelter problem, the fear problem, and the mating problem. We generally hear eating, sleeping, mating, and defending.
Yes.
The fear problem gives us more trouble than the others. We are always fearful due to our ignorance of the next problem. The whole material existence is full of problems, and thus the fear problem is always prominent. This is due to our association with the illusory energy of the Lord, known as Maya, or external energy. Yet all fear is vanished as soon as there is the sound of the Lord, represented by his holy name, as it was sounded by Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in the following 16 words. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. We can take advantage of these sounds and be free from all threatening problems of material existence. Translation again. The citizens of Dwarka, having heard that sound which threatens fear personified in the material world, began to run towards him fast, just to have a long-desired audience with the Lord, who is the protector of all devotees. In one of the bhajans composed by Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur, he nicely explains how the safest place in the material world is that place where the transcendental sound vibration of the holy name is vibrated. And that is why it is also explained that if we hear some kirtan going by, we should join that kirtan. Yeah. So the Lord's blowing his conch shell, because everything connected with the Lord is transcendental. Immediately awaken, this is nicely described here, awaken the citizens of Dwarka as like someone being in a slumber. That also is nicely explained by Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur in the song Jeev Jago. Jeev Jago, Jeev Jago, Gora Chandra Bole, Koto Nidra Dayo Maya. Yes, we are in Nidra, not Nidra Yoga. We are in, what's it called? Comatose, like people who are in coma. Yeah, comatose, it's called coma. Living entity in the material world is like in a coma, unconscious, having forgotten his actual identity, having forgotten his eternal relationship with Krishna. So therefore, spiritual, transcendental contact is necessary to awaken the jiva from his conditional state. And as Prabhupada also mentions in the purport, this is the specific and very unique contribution of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who in this age of Kali has come to awaken the conditioned souls from their forgetfulness of Krishna. It is not only the chanting of the holy name, although the chanting of the holy name is the recommended method and process by which to awaken our dormant Krishna consciousness, but any activity of devotional service, any we should not say any spiritual activity, because that difference is nicely made by Srila Rupa Goswami when he explains the 3 levels of happiness, isn't it? What are those 3 levels of happiness again? The most common level of happiness that majority of people in the material world experience, material happiness, which we should try to understand. The more we remain situated on that level of material happiness, the more we actually increase our unhappiness, our suffering in the material world. So higher than material happiness is spiritual happiness, which at least brings us above the bodily platform of life. And then what is most important, which is unknown to most jivas in the material world, is devotional happiness. That's why the Prabhupada gave so much of emphasis on the nectar of devotion. Devotion or devotional service brings us that Well, that what is the Sanskrit for nectar?
Amrit.
Yes, rasa.
Yes.
Yeah,
Rasa.
bhakti, rasa amrita,
Rasa.
eternal nectar, eternal rasa. Actually, we cannot avoid rasa. There is the material rasa in the material world, and then of course there is the spiritual rasa, which is in itself a very deep subject matter. It's actually the essence of what Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has brought, and it is it is what all living entities are actually eagerly searching for. So here, even this sound vibration of the conch shell was sufficient, isn't it? Was sufficient for the residents of Dwarka to be awakened. Of course, Prabhupada makes an interesting point. He doesn't mention the name, but he refers to one, somebody from Bengal, who is telling that the Krishna in Dwarka is different from the Krishna in Vrindavan. It's the same personality, but actually there is, excuse me, there is some difference in terms of, I guess, in terms of rasa. Yes, the Krishna in Vrindavan is Shamashundar Krishna.
Yes.
But when, because as we know from Shastra, Krishna never leaves Vrindavan.
Yes.
He never leaves Vrindavan, but he goes to Mathura. He never leaves Vrindavan, but he goes to Dwarka. So, fortunately, all these apparent contradictions are resolved because that is a very deep subject matter of tattva. So we hear from Shastra that Krishna, yes, the Krishna in his original transcendental form never leaves Vrindavan. So it is the Vasudev Krishna who actually performs all the leelas outside of Vrindavan.
Yes.
But that Vasudev Krishna is same Krishna.
Yes.
Just that, yeah, different, very subtle subject matter of rasa. Just like the residents of Dwarka, they're fully, completely on the transcendental platform, but not only the residents of Vrindavan, but Krishna himself. I mean, not only the residents of Dwarka, but Krishna himself in Dwarka is always remembering Vrindavan,
Yes.
isn't it? So that is a very, we could say, unique position and unique, we could say, contribution in the Gaudiya Vaishnava Sampradaya, which is in many ways confidential and very very profound, as given by Lord Chaitanya to especially his two foremost followers, who were actually Lord Chaitanya had many. It's a tough question. But he first expounded or explained in detail, more in detail, the whole tattva in regards to Bhakti to Rupa and Sanatan, of course, to Srila Rupa Goswami and Sanatan Goswami, whose literatures we are receiving and studying. Of course, we also know that he had very many actually close associates, in particular Sarup Damodar and Ramananda Rai. Yeah. So regardless of the pastimes, of course, the most attractive of the pastimes of the Lord are those pastimes in Vrindavan, and at the end of the purport, Prabhupada is, of course, bringing us back to the the holy name, the Hare Krishna Mahamantra, which is very Prabhupada makes the point that Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has pointed out. He did not introduce, he did not invent the Mahamantra. The mantra is already there, but we could say in many ways concealed. Actually, the whole philosophy of Krishna consciousness, the whole tattva, especially in terms of Vrindavan pastimes, is very much, because it is such a very deep and confidential subject matter, it is not so easily known or not so easily understood. One needs to be very qualified to actually enter into those pastimes, or to understand actually the tattva. The subject matter of tattva is a very deep subject matter, which is in many ways from the time of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu came actually to establish tattva. All of our acharyas actually specialize in tattva. And tattva is what Lord Krishna also refers to, tattva darshini, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
What is that verse?
Jnani na tattva.
Yes, that's the end of it. Tad vidi pranipatena pariprashnena sevaya upadekshanti te gyanam gyaninas tattva darshina. So devotees are those who are introduced to the subject matter of tattva darshana. Darshan, I think the word darshan is used here in the verse. Darshan. So, most important darshan for all of us actually is through sound vibration. Of course, every day we have opportunity to take darshan. We call it darshanarati. Our darshanarati every day here is at 7:30, for your information. So every day devotee we take darshan, but actually we can take darshan anytime, and we should. We should endeavor to take darshan in so many different ways, especially through transcendental sound vibration. So when Krishna blows his conch shell, that conch shell is already transcendental, and the sound vibration is also transcendental. And this, as described here, was sufficient to awaken that intense desire in the eternal associates of the Lord to actually reconnect with the Lord, or to be with the Lord. That is the natural longing, the very deep desire, actually, of the devotees of the Lord to be reconnected. So this is being explained here. Similar, Prabhupada gives the example of just like at night time, it is dark. Why is it dark?
Absence of sun.
Because of the absence of the sun, yes. So every day, darkness from very early, even before the sun appears, darkness begins to disappear. Yes. So there is a period of, what is it? Sandhya. There are 3 sandhyas every day. So sandhya, what is sandhya in English?
Evening.
Why you say evening? I just mentioned there are 3 sandhyas every day. Oh. So the conjunction. What does conjunction mean?
Sandhya.
Hey. The circular argument, right? Sandhya means conjunction, and conjunction means sandhya. Well, for those who don't understand what sandhya is and conjunction, it's a problem. What's another explanation of sandhya or conjunction? If we don't know Sanskrit, sanjog won't help us.
Sandhya means the period when one phase is changing to another phase.
Yes, it's a changing. It's a transition.
Yes, transition.
Transition. And what happens during Sandhya? Yeah, but Sandhya is not only in relation to the sun. Like between every yuga, there's Sandhya.
Yes, Sandhya.
Isn't it? So we are actually now in the Sandhya period. Oh, welcome to the Sandhya period of Kali Yuga. What is, one can actually calculate, what is the, who's good in mathematics? Anyone major in mathematics? Okay. This is especially for you. Every day there are 3 Sandhyas.
Yes.
The Sandhya lasts for how long? Means, what is the duration of time of a Sandhya?
In day. In a day?
In a day.
3 hours.
It's based on muhurta.
45 minutes. 24 minutes.
How many muhurtas in a Sandhya?
2.
Not a subject matter we study very. I had calculated before or heard that it was approximately 2 hours.
2 hours.
Approximately 2 hours. So, for example, if it is 2 hours, somebody could research on this and get the precise, exact, hours, minutes, and seconds, possibly. So let's say if it is 2 hours, so what percentage of a day, in a day, how many hours?
24 hours.
Very good. So what percentage of a day makes up a Sandhya? 24 divided by 2.
Yes, 24. 12.
No, actually, it's, no.
6.
What is the percentage?
Percent.
About 10%.
If there are 10 hours and you take 2 hours, that's 20%.
Yes, yes.
If there are 24 hours and you take 2, that is what percentage? Huh?
Less than 10.
48,
Less than 10.
48 by 100. 4 point something. Yes.
4 point something.
Yes.
I think 1 hour of 24 is 4%.
You think.
Wait,
I
like if there are 20 hours and the 2 hours is like 10%, right? From the 20 hours.
If there are 20 hours in a day, but there,
so
yeah,
2
but
hours
two,
is like
10%.
10%. Like 24 hours, it's like less than 10, like 9% or 8%.
Okay, let's take 8. We don't have to have it exactly. Let's take 8%. A sandhya, let's say, is approximately 8%.
yes.
So what is this? So I'm wanting to bring us to the point that now we are in the sandhya of Kali Yuga. So what is the duration of the sandhya for Kali Yuga? What is the duration of Kali Yuga?
432.
432,000 years.
Yes.
432.
Yes.
Yes. 432,000 years.
8%.
Huh?
8% of full.
Yes. Well, 10% is what? 42,000. 10% is 42,000 years, approximately.
3.2, 3,20,000.
So approximately maybe 30,000.
Yes, yes.
Sandhya
0.3.
of Kali Yuga is approximately
34,560.
Okay. 34,000. So it means, just like in the sandhya of a day, whether it's a morning, noon, there's also sandhya at noon, which we don't, I mean, it's not as, like the morning sandhya and the evening sandhya are more noticeable. Because in the morning sandhya, the sun rises. And even before the sun rises, we see light. And then when the sun really completely disappears, gradually then darkness. And the opposite is there in the sandhya, in the afternoon, right? So it means that actually, especially in the morning and the afternoon, a lot of changes, but very slowly happen. So now we are in the sandhya of Kali Yuga. And it means that it's a period where there are many changes. And the other aspect is that we should understand, as we have heard from Shastra, that in this Kali Yuga, in this very special Kali Yuga, there is a 10,000 year period where Satya Yuga is meant to appear or become manifest. So, in this 10,000 year, that should be easier. What is the sandhya? For this Satya Yuga to become manifest. If we arrived at 8%, no?
Yes. 8% of
8% of 10,000 is
8% of 10,000 years. Now it's 500 years after 800 years. Yes, 800 years. After 300 years. Now
800 years. So when did this period begin? Yes. This sandhya, I mean this 10,000 year period of Satya Yuga began with the advent of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. It means we are still in the Sandhya period.
Yes.
That's why, like when the Sandhya begins in the morning, we don't immediately see the sun. We don't immediately see the sun itself. We get glimpses. We start, slowly, very slowly, we start to get glimpses of what we call daylight. Yeah, and then, yeah. So the it means that actually the movement of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, which began 500 years ago, 530, 37, 537.
Yes, it's 537.
Is, we could say, nearing a particular, is nearing the, we could say, the completion of the Sandhya of Satya Yuga. And in many ways, this can be seen by the events that have taken place in the last, 50 years since Srila Prabhupada introduced outside of India, isn't it? In other words, we need to be, as much as possible, we need to try and see the kind of, just like we can't really see the transformation that take place, every day in the Sandhya, because we're generally busy doing so many things. But if somebody is specifically purposely attentive to the different changes, one will be able to observe so many things. So the point being that we need to be more attentive to notice and to see the various changes or the various signs that are taking place because of what was inaugurated, we could say, 500 years ago, and which is largely based on the chanting of the holy name and all of the different practices. Just like every day, there's more and more people who are coming in contact with the holy name, more and more people who are receiving books, more and more people are taking up to the process of bhakti or devotional service. In other words, there's an ongoing transformation that is taking place, and this is based on how individuals who are coming in contact are actually taking up, which means that actually the more we have individuals who take up to the process that is recommended, the more people become awakened, then the more quickly the whole manifestation of Satya Yuga will actually be taking place. So I'll just read the verse again. The citizens of Dwarka, having heard that sound which threatens fear personified in the material world, began to run toward him fast, just to have a long desired audience with the Lord, who is the protector of all devotees. I think some of you might have seen the drama. It was very famous in the early days here in Mayapur, and I think it's been introduced in other places also. The drama that is depicting the advent of, not the advent of Lord Chaitanya, but the advent of course, it is connected directly with Lord Chaitanya, but depicting rather the four personalities which personify Kali Yuga. What's the name of that drama? I think. Has anyone seen? There's a drama where Kali has become the king, and his associates are the four sinful activities, and then they are enacting their lila, their pastimes, and then at one point they hear the chanting of the holy name from a distance, and it becomes louder and louder, and as it becomes louder, all of the associates of Kali become fearful, because then they know that their impending destruction is soon to arrive. So that's the other major point that is being made here, of course, is that everyone in the material world, because of not understanding one's identity, because of being on the bodily platform, is, oh, two of them, family, is always in a fearful condition. So the best remedy, ultimately the only remedy to remove all fear, is by coming in contact with the sound vibration, coming in contact with the process of devotional service. So any thoughts or comments on this? Yeah.
Maharaj, as you mentioned, this Kali Yuga is progressing. Sandhya Muhurta is like getting over.
Yes.
So I'm trying to understand how to get a deeper faith in chanting the holy name of the Lord. We chant the holy name just to the sake of chanting, to complete of our rounds, or since we have took a vow that we should chant. But to chant like with the intents and for getting deeper understanding and to get out of the mode of fear.
So the question is how to do that. Yeah. Well, we hear, as we are reading in this verse and in many other references, that that is for each and every devotee, how one applies the various instructions that we receive, from our acharyas. The more one properly applies the process, then one will naturally deepen one's, we could say, realization, and one will become less and less fearful, because the natural tendency, as explained in the purport here, is that the more, that's why those who are totally materialistic, they are constantly in fear. That's why in the animal kingdom also that constant fear can be always observed. So as devotees, it's the responsibility of each and every devotee to actually more, we could say, seriously, more attentively apply. It's the same process, the same principles are there for everyone. And the basic guidelines are given by our acharyas, which is summarized, as we know, very famous verse in the Chaitanya Charitamrita. By these activities of keeping close association with devotees, sadhu sangha, nama kirtan, bhagavata sravana, matvaravasa srimurtira, the more we are attentive in applying these 5 principles especially, then we will gradually become more and more situated in fearlessness, isn't it? Mm. Yes.
Because while I was coming from the Pushpa Samadhi,
Yes.
by walking, I don't know where to go. I just keep walking by chanting the holy name. Then at one point, I didn't know whether turn left or right, but still I made it because I was thinking chanting Hare Krishna will get.
Okay.
So fortunately I came across because I visited only couple of times only by vehicle, not by walk.
Oh, I see. Okay. So the chanting of the holy name brought you here this morning. Nice. Yeah.
This, how can we know that our life is perfectly serving the mission of the Lord during this moment?
How can we know if our life is perfectly serving the mission of the Lord? You can ask your spiritual master. That is one way. We can ask other, let's say, senior devotees who are close to us, who know uh, more about us, and also the other criteria. Just like Krishna is telling, when we cultivate this knowledge, Raja Vidya. So that verse is explaining, Susukam Kalpamavyayam. We should feel some pleasure, some satisfaction, sukha, happiness. Prabhupada explained that he gave the definition of a devotee. What's the definition? Simple definition of a devotee. What's the simple definition of a devotee?
Devotee who is serving. Happiness.
Devotee is happy. The symptom of a devotee is that he's happy. And he's happy if he's nicely engaged, nicely serving. When we are doing the various recommended activities in devotional service, then our mind will not be unnecessarily preoccupied. That's the position of those who are not serving, those who are not chanting, those who are not, and of course that can happen for devotees also, isn't it? Although devotees have that great advantage of more quickly getting out of, the strong influence. Maya is also influencing devotees, but in a different way. We were discussing the other day. Maya covers the karmis, the materialistic people. That is a covering potency. And then the other potency is Maya throws, if we're not cautious, we can be thrown off guard, so to speak. Yeah. So we should be able to to have some understanding of our actual state of consciousness um, by experiencing some satisfaction in what we're doing. And if there's a constant, if there is a constant trend of being unsatisfied, or being disturbed, or being mentally distracted, then that's a sign that something is not right. And then we need to, self-analyze, self-hypnotize, or we need to consult with devotees who know us, and who are our well-wishers, who can help us. And that's why it's important for devotees to exchange, isn't it? Devotees, we are meant to interact, to have discussions, to get clarification in a general way, and also in a personal way, in terms of our respective individual advancement. Yeah. One of the signs Prabhupada also used to mention, as you were demonstrating yesterday, is to dance in kirtan. You're dancing very nicely yesterday in kirtan, and you got other devotees a little bit, yeah. The followers of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, they would dance like madmen, isn't it? And in the early days especially, that we could see a lot, because we were talking about the reception, that Krishna is receiving when he enters Dwarka. And then we got into talking about, when devotees received Srila Prabhupada, they would like go mad practically. Yeah. I mean, we have to be careful. We can't be mad all the time, but occasionally it's okay. So the more we are, the more we can become absorbed. We were making that point the other day also. The more we can become absorbed in whatever service that we're doing, and it doesn't matter, like somebody who's sweeping the floor of a temple or whatever, simple, what we call menial service, he can be in total ecstasy. It's not that he's, mostly it's something that is within, that we may not even be able to perceive it externally, but any of the activities of devotional service can create that type of consciousness. It's all based on consciousness. And generally it is something that is within, that is purposely kept in many ways hidden, but that can easily come out when the proper circumstances are created. Yeah. More plastic. All glories to plastic. Anything else? Yes. Jai Grantharaj Srimad Bhagavatam ki. Jai Sri Prabhupada ki. Gaura Pimanandi.
Hare Hare Bol. Jagannnath Bhakti Raghav Swami Maharaj ki.